Welcome back to Tao of Twang on Patreon. I'm Dave. So we've got a Triad Blues in E here today for you. I'll tell you real quick how this kind of came about. I wanted to do something to just get into some shape, and we can call them cage shapes, and just some different positions, of the same chords. That sort of thing. But I wanted it to be a routine and have some musical, value. So it just kind of drifted into this, E blues. Like, okay, great. We'll do all major triads, and it'll really give us a chance to move around in a bunch of different positions. And it's kind of challenging because we're moving a lot. Sometimes we kind of work in one place and talk about a lot of theory and things. We don't really use that much of the neck. So today we're going out of our way to make sure we cover this thing. And so then I tabbed some out, and I have to go back and forth because then I'll record it. And I'm like, that's not what's on the tab, and I kind of, fix it up as I go or whatever. Well, I got that all done. And I was, originally I had made like a little, 12 bar, kind of background thing. And I was doing it over that. But then I scrapped that because I was like, you know what? Put everybody through that on this. Go at your own speed, take each one of these pieces and just stop and work on them. This is more of an exercise, right, than a performance thing, right? So then you might be thinking, though, but there are chords behind what you played in the intro. And there are, but I dropped them in there um, um, after I played the single note stuff with no click or anything. So I just literally sat there and kind of, you know, I didn't even have a count in. I just kind of watched the screen, like right where it started. I just kind of jumped in there and started comping in the background. And I thought that sounded cool, so I left it. But what you could do is make, a 12 bar loop, yourself or at whatever speed you want, or grab a backing track off YouTube or something, and plug this into it. But like I said, it's not really an arranged solo as much as it's just using that 12 bar format to demonstrate these different shapes. Okay. So ultimately, you can just take the shapes and apply them to whatever piece of music you want. And that's the goal anyway, right? So here we go. I've got a full PDF of these tabs attached to this video. All right. So we start with some E shapes, okay? And here's the first one. All right. Now let me mention a couple things really quick, and they'll apply to everything in this exercise and won't have to, repeat them. The first is when you see that slash that indicates a slide going in, right? If you're coming in cold, you're not coming out of another chord or someplace else on the neck, then one below is always a safe bet. Okay, two a lot of times sounds good too. When you're going to you know follow that up with another shape or another part of the neck, then you're just kind of sliding like however you can get there, right? And that's okay. It sounds cool. So, if I do these first two, that makes sense. And then that one I really exaggerated and slid it from way down here. But, once you get up to speed, you don't have time to be as precise with that. And you don't really need to be. It kind of sounds cool as sliding around, right? So that was the first thing. The second thing is when you're playing these shapes, but playing individual notes, sometimes you'll get a lot of interference between the strings. It'll, kind of block where you don't want it blocked, and you'll get dead strings and stuff. And when that happens, don't punish yourself by having to hold those shapes down the whole time, right? Go ahead and lift your fingers. Right, that's good practice too, right? And I've noticed this a lot working with individuals. Is yeah, you got the right idea, but you're holding those shapes, and that's cool. But when it interferes, just that's the easy way to fix it, right? And it kind of limbers up your hand more, and you get a different sound out of it. Actually, a lot of videos and things, people that you watch on YouTube, instructors and stuff, their technique is so efficient that you don't see it, right? It's like they're so, everything. They're a conservation of movement or something, right? So that's just a reminder. If you get jammed up, you know, lift those fingers and put them back where you need them. So those first two we could do like, okay, and then we go right on up to, in that case, I just kind of hold them all these three down because this note that I'm adding, it doesn't interfere with it, right? It's just kind of, you know. Now this one, there's no way I'm going to be able to make that shape, like this. And then, I mean, I guess maybe, but I'm just going to use all separate fingers. Right. So depending where you are on the neck and like the physicality of each, situation, make those adjustments, right? Don't, think you always have to stay in form like that. So that's those first four. Right. That's kind of, a lot of the essential stuff about this lesson is included right there. If you can move through those four and kind of make a routine of be able to repeat that, you're getting the essence of what this exercise is about. And the rest of it is just more different shapes using the same sort of cadence and routine. There's an A, right? We just did an E out of that shape. We could do that down here. But I just moved it down to this other string set and did kind of a similar routine. By the time I put that's a sixth, right? A whole step above the fifth. And then I went up to this shape for A, right? Earlier we had done that shape for E, but now we're... And again, if you get jammed up, remember to remove your fingers and put them back as needed. Right? And if it changes a little bit of the order of what's on the tab or it leaves out a string or something, don't worry about it, right? It's really about moving the shapes around. Then I went all the way down here for the next E. Right? Kind of like... Well, not kind of, exactly, actually, but I used the open. Right? Then I followed it up with a little... I'm not looking at the tab right now. I'm going to drop it in when I do the edits on the video. But I think I went... Just a little change of direction, between those two. But I'm still using that same, position, right? Then B... might look a little odd to you, right? At first, I'm hammering on to the third. Right? At one point, I dipped all the way down to this fifth on the low string. Okay, then I do a little slide into A. Okay. This one's slightly different. Doesn't have the same kind of number of notes as the others. But, it's just kind of to finish it off. I go. And that's all tabbed out. Then I just go to 4 2-note harmonies of the E chord. Okay, and those are kind of the same thing. Okay. Um, so, you know, right, it's more of an exercise. And you go through all of that, you're covering some territory and you're using the basic shapes, the triad shapes for these major chords, right? Now, there's no sevenths in there, those flat sevens that really make it sound. But later on, you know, you could I could have written this out and made it more elaborate and included sevenths and so forth in every lick, and we've done some of those before. But I stuck to the triads. But for those of you that are comfortable with this after a while and you're ambitious, you can start to kind of take note of figure out where your flat seven is. Still making that same shape, but I found that D, the flat seven for that E. There it is for A. So see, all of these, different shapes, there'll be one right in the neighborhood. There's the an E. Okay. But practicing those triad moves, as a step to get to that could really be helpful, right? It's not like not as much kind of memorization and stuff right off the bat. It's like, okay, I can move around with these triads, and then I can go back later and have some fun, just kind of hunting down the flat seven and stuff, and adding that kind of towards the end of the measures, and just kind of standard blues approaches to your sound, right? But see if this sticking to the triads doesn't really help you get, dialed in. And that stuff down here at the open neck, it looks weird. That's the only one I have in the tab for the B. And if you want to, you could go up and use some of the ones for A. Right. So mix and match them, right? After you know, remember all of them could be one of the other of the three chords if you move them around. We're just using those three or four basic shapes. Hope this helps. Let me know how it's going. Thank you all for your support. We really appreciate it. And talk to you next week.